Hi there, Karen Flaherty from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well today. Today's Human Design weather is all about the gate 22, which is charm and grace. Okay, so we've got the sun in gate 22, which comes off the top of the solar plexus right here. And then we've got the gate 47 in the earth, which comes off the top of the Ajna. And that gate is also known as the mindset, where you can go from one mindset to another. Positive, negative, optimistic, pessimistic. It goes back and forth. So this sun in gate 22 started late on March 7th, and it goes until March 13th in the morning. And this week is kind of interesting with the transits because we have manifestors again for both configurations. Mars moved from 45 to gate 12. And so while it here made the channel 4521, which find the throat and the will center, by the 9th, it moves over here to the gate 12, and then it defines the throat and the solar plexus, and also creates more of a manifestor feel. So it's interesting how they've moved around, but both create this feeling of being a manifestor. So again, watch the throat, how that you might have felt woeful the first 2 days of this week or this period, and then you might feel a little more emotional later on. So it changes. So with this gate 22, we've got charm and grace. Grace or openness in the original I Ching. It's a quality of behavior best suited in handling mundane and trivial situations. So it can be mundane and trivial, but it can also be pretty interesting. It could be provocative. It can be violent. It can be emotional. It can be passionate. It can be all kinds of things. This gate really runs the gamut between the trivial and mundane to the very violent and passionate. I have experienced that. I know it with my clients. I've seen it in loads of different places happen that way. So this charm and grace is one of those things where we say it's like the girl with the curl. Do you remember that old saying or fairy tale or whatever it was? There was a girl with the curl in the middle of her forehead. When she was good, she was very, very good. And when she was bad, she was horrid. That's exactly what this gate is. When it's emotional and it's feeling bad, it is not a good place to be. You don't want to be around them when this is going on. But when they're charming and graceful, it's great. These are the people who are the natural volunteers who do all the business development, right? Who run around the cocktail parties and the social gatherings and collect all the checks. These are those people. That's a great thing, if you're running a charity and you're trying to make money. It can be, as I said, when they're down on their wave, it's not a great place to be. In the incarnation crosses this week, it's the crosses of rulership, grace, and informing. So that rulership is important. I mean, you can be in the grace place, but the rulership is because it's usually with the gate 47, but a lot of times 45 plays a role here. And that's why it's the 20, this gate 22 has to do with rulership. So the gate 47 is all about mindset and epiphany. It's the oppression or realization in the original I Ching, and it's a restrictive and adverse state as a result of internal weakness or external strength or both. And so as I said before, it's the balancing act. It's going between, and it can't be both. It can be either or, and it can't be anywhere in between, actually. So it's either positive or it's negative. It's either optimistic or it's pessimistic. It's not both. It can't be both, right? You're either pregnant or you're not. This is one of those things. It's either up or down, up, one or the other, and it's not emotional. This gate is in the head. It's not emotional. Or sorry, it's coming off the top of the ajna. It is not emotional. It's all head based. And so it's mindset, positive, negative, optimistic, pessimistic, and that's it. Those are really the only options. And you can get yourself from one to the other. That's the difference with the emotional wave. You can't change that, where the charm and grace is, but you can change the mindset. And you can imagine some people, well, most people who have the 22 might also be emotional. Many of them are. They would also have this mindset gate. And so those two things play together. The emotions can't be changed. They're just what they are, but the mindset can be changed. And so you could be, theoretically down on your wave, but feeling pretty optimistic. You could be up on your wave and feeling pretty down, and vice versa. So it can play a lot of different roles. In the Gene Keys, oppression is the shadow. You can imagine people feel oppressed with this gate 47. Transmutation is the gift, and transfiguration is the CD. So in Gene Key 22, what we got is the shadow is dishonor, the gift is graciousness, and the CD is grace. And in the graphic, he says, grace is your true nature. It is your inheritance. It is the soul of the world. And what he means by that is that we really want to be here to be graceful. It's really a good thing to be graceful. It's really hard to get there sometimes. Many times it's hard to get there. And so he also says we must learn to be careful without being fearful, to be warm without being overbearing, and to be candid without being cruel. Right. So it's always about knowing how the other person, or at least taking into account how the other person is feeling. Right. And then having a grace about it, about having a grace about your own circumstances, having a grace about their circumstances. We're always, I would say almost the opposite of this is being quick to judgment, right? We're quick to judge other people when they're late, when they can't make, an event or a party or something that we're having. It's also, we tend to judge the way people look, the way they are, the way their health is, the way, lots of different things we judge, right? And so this is just saying, just have some grace, have some kindness, be about the love, and the grace that goes with understanding that other people just aren't where you are. Other people have different things going on in their life, just like you've got going on in your life, and just showing them some kindness, showing some grace, showing some empathy for them, right? Because this is, again, it's coming off the solar plexus. So it is about empathy, compassion, grace, kindness, love. It's all of those things really wrapped up in one gate. And he also says the greatest message of the 22nd gene key is to find graciousness in the face of suffering, and perhaps even to find something more, holiness itself, wearing a disguise. Some of the poorest people in the world are graceful. They live with grace. They still make their meals for their families. They go to work every day. They do what they can do in very difficult circumstances. The people in Turkey, I mean, look at the poor people in Turkey who are living through this earthquake. They're doing it with grace. Look at the people in Ukraine. They're showing grace under pressure, right? They've got lots of grace. They're managing to make do, to take care of the children, take care of the refugees, take care of the people in need, and still do it with a an honor, right? A real sense of honor and graciousness and gracefulness, in light of their terrible tragedy and the war that continues to go on there. So it's really about having perspective about the other person and being able to, basically put yourself in their shoes. Put yourself in their shoes and say, and give them a little grace. Come up with some grace within yourself so that you can be kind and loving and empathetic toward them. And I found this quote. This is when you finally learn that a person's behavior has more to do with their own internal struggle than with you, you learn grace, right? You learn that they have a lot of other stuff going on that you can't possibly know about. And so you learn grace and you learn to be graceful in those struggles, or the struggles that they might have. There are a number of personalities born in the Sun Gate 22. These are the right angle cross of rulership, the cross of grace, or cross of informing. And so I'll leave it to you to figure out whether these people have been able to, because what basically happens is that they're either able to live with grace in their lives and stay above the fray and keep that gracefulness going in spite of adversity and in spite of suffering. And there are some of those here, and then there are other people who can't find the grace, right? Who still have, or their grace might be more superficial. I guess is a better way to say it, that the grace might be there, but it's more superficial. And you dig a little deeper and the gracefulness or the graciousness goes away. And so that's kind of the difference. And those people are living in the shadow, basically, when it's superficial. And then if you can move up to the graciousness in the gift, that makes life a whole lot better. So, hope you have a great week. Notice where you've seen where you're seeing charm and grace in the world, and perhaps in yourself, and where you're not, and where it's coming up and where it's not. And also notice that you might be a little more. You'll have that third energy still, but you might have a little more emotions around the things that are coming up. Because it is a very individual energy, this 1222 channel, and it can be erratic. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you next time. Be well.